everybody, this is your girl Debra Coco, and make sure you check out Just Give Me the Mic on all social media. Also, check us out on Bronxnet Channel 16 on Sundays at 10 p.m. And soon we'll be launching on MNN coming up in June, everybody. So stay tuned for that network information. Support. If you want to interview, make sure you hit me up on justgivemethemic12@gmail.com. You want us to come out and rep at one of your events, also hit me up for that as well. And love is love, everybody. See y'all soon. Support. Hey everybody, this is your girl Debra Coco, and today we have another great show in store for you. We're gonna get into the justice system, the court system, the jail system. I have a guest that's gonna share some of his experiences with us, offer some advice to our youth, offer some information about what really takes place inside the mental psychology part of it, also the physical strength that you need to have to endure this challenge. So, and you know, out of this, he wrote a book. He got a docu-series coming out. Be Unstoppable Media is in full effect, and I just want to welcome my guest David Hopper to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So we kind of met on different circumstances because we met through acting. Shout out to Escobar Entertainment. But I recently went online and I seen you actually talking with a gentleman about, you know, some of the experiences that you've had and some of the goals that you have right now based on your previous experiences that you went through. So I'm gonna actually pass it over to you and let you share with me your mission and what you're doing right now and how it all came about.
Okay, sure. So first and foremost, like you said, my name is David Hopper. I like to go a little further back just to give people an understanding of where I come from, who I am, so then it all makes sense later on. Right. So I'm third born of 7 children, raised by a single mother for the most part, Harlem, New York, and went through the shelter system, homeless as a teen. My mother was a heroin addict almost for most of my life that I can remember, from the age of maybe 9, 10 to my late teens. And that, it just basically, being a third born, I had 4 younger siblings under me, which made me think, as I said, made me think I was supposed to hit the streets and do illegal activities to get money to come to the crib, to bring to the house and take care of the home. But in my mature mind, now I know that that was all BS. So in the midst of my journey, unfortunately, I caught 2 felonies. Out of the 2 felonies, I did 1 state bid, 7 years in New York State prison system. In prison, I was still a little, I was an angry person growing up. So when I got arrested, I actually got arrested and did my time for an act of anger and ego. Okay. I always say ego and anger is a bad mix.
Yes, it is.
I had both on full scale. Wow. So once I got to prison, I was still a little ego driven, still a lot of anger in me. But I met some people inside, and I was pretty much schooled. You know, I was given tutelage on things, on how to look at life. I just got a new perspective on life, and start educating myself. And I really matured in prison. I went to prison when I was 32. Okay. I came home when I was 38. In them 6 years, I probably matured more than my whole 30 years living on the earth before I went to prison. Wow. So once I came home, I was released. Once I came home, I had a mission, and that mission was, one, really to never go back. Right. Don't don't become a statistic, and don't become what they call don't become part of the recidivism rate. And the funny thing is, before I was arrested, before I did the bid, I didn't even know what recidivism was. I couldn't even pronounce it when people showed it to me, and I couldn't understand. I was like, what is that? You know?
Right.
So
Right.
to come home now and actually be an advocate for prison reform and reentry reform and things of that nature, it's definitely a miracle, if you will, on my part. Just the maturity I have now. So once I came home, I had that mission, and I had a little bit of a ego drive where I'm like, I'm gonna show people that counted me out that it's not over for me,
Right.
because that's a big stigma, stereotype. Once you go to prison, you know, you're a horrible person. When you come home, you know, you're not gonna change. The same thing you did to get you there, what you're gonna do to send you back, and you know, things of that nature.
Right.
So I was basically on a mission to prove people wrong. And in that, my first words out of prison, my older brother, came to pick me up from the gates. And I had they brought me a cell phone, my first cell phone in 6 years. And I don't think, we didn't have video phones before I got locked up. I got locked up in 2006. So it really wasn't no video phones.
Right.
When I came home, every phone, it was a video, a camera. So now when I come home, my brother, he recording me when I get in the car, he hugging me. And I'm like, you know, watch this, Prison of Prosperity. I'm gonna show y'all what it is. But I'm just talking smack for the most part. And fast forward, maybe like 6 months later, I really started jumping into the media. And I had brought a camera. Somebody had gave me a camera, actually. One of my god brother, he gave me a little camera. And it really didn't record. It wasn't a video camera. It was a 35 millimeter still camera. But back then, it was one of the newer ones that had video on it.
Okay.
So he showed me how to work it. So I used that, and I was going around doing interviewing guys that was locked up. But it was really mostly, like I said, a little ego driven, because it's mostly for me. Meaning, like, I came home, I want to show people.
Right.
So in that interim, I realized, like, it's so many other individuals that came home from prison and doing the right thing. And I thought it would be selfish of me just to put the light on myself. So from that moment is when I started to actually focus in and form what's now the docuseries Prison of Prosperity.
No, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, I'm just listening to your whole story, because this is what led a lot of our youth into prison, just adapting and growing up in situations where they had to survive. So what do when you're young, right? You end up going to the streets, and you end up doing things because you're too young. You can't really get a regular job. And now it's like you're 13 and you got the pressures of your household on your back, you know? So you're worried about your mother, you're worried about your siblings eating, and you're just worried about survival at such a short age. And now, as you said, fast forward years later, you're incarcerated, and it's so many things that you're dealing with that you haven't had a chance to really acknowledge and deal with in the right way, just trying to survive. You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
You could relate. I could definitely relate to the story and how you kind of ended up where you ended up, you know? But the part that I find most interesting about what you just said was also that you didn't feel like you matured until you got in prison. And most people outside looking in will see that as a very chaotic, you know, place to be, to grow. So how did you manage that? Well, what was the elements that were in place that caused you to focus and or even internalize on what you needed to do to grow as a person?
It was a couple of things that, you know, that was mixed up in the pot, if you will. So first, first, when I first got arrested, I was married at the time. I had I have 4 children. And when my wife came to see me, the first time she came to see me, we had a long talk, and we came up with these rules, right? Like, long as you do this, I'm gonna be good. She told me as long as I do this. So I don't want to give it away if you read the book, you know, the
Right. And what's the
the whole
title of the
conversation.
book? It's
Moments.
Moments.
Yeah, writings, thoughts, and letters of a two-time felon.
Okay.
So we go through our, back and forth, and I was in county jail fighting the case for about a year, 11 months. So in that time, like I said, it was some older guys that took a liking to me, and they was telling me, listen, young blood, when you get up top meaning when you get upstate to prison, there's some things that you need to know and how you
Right.
should move if you want to get home, right? So they seen that I wasn't a knucklehead. I always had sense. Right? I'm never a dummy. And just my anger, my ego fueled my actions.
Okay.
So, OGs, that's what say, prison, you'll meet some of the smartest, most intellectual, caring, compassionate individuals in prison. And that's not a lie. I'm here to tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
But in any event, they gave me a couple of pointers, and they said, stay away from the don't gamble. Stay away from the homosexuals, because if you deal with a homosexual, then your bid is going to turn out to be just as that. Stay away from robbery, because if you rob somebody, if you stab somebody, then that's how the way you start your bid, basically they said, is the way you want to end your bid. So you got to choose how you want to do this bid. Just
Right.
because, other things is going on in prison don't mean that you have to be a part of it. And
Right.
it's true. I really couldn't understand it until I got there. Once I got in prison, I understood it. So once I got there, maybe they actually, this is a sum of all of that. At arraignment, they offered me 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
They had no evidence or nothing. I'm 48 hours off the street. They said, we give you 5 years. Just take this 5 years. I said, no. In my naive mind, I'm thinking, I watched Law and Order and all these cop shows, which a
Right.
lot of the kids and youngins do. They think that's how it happens. Oh, they offer me 5, I can get 3, or whatever the case. So I said, nah, I'm gonna play it out. Long story short, my next offer was 10 years.
It went up.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So the reality of it is, at arraignment, it's no work being done by either side, your lawyer or the prosecutor. So they look at your rap sheet, they look at the charges, and they say, offer him this. No work is being done. Everybody win in their eyes. No money is spent. You ain't waste your time going back and forth. So
Right.
I didn't know that. So I say no. Long story short, they come back to 10, and then the lawyer tells me this is why you get the 10. Now they looked into your whole rap sheet. They have evidence now, this and that. So now they saying 10 years is what we can offer you, because you go to trial, you facing 8 1/3 to 25.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So I express a lot of the time and stuff in the book, but basically I went back and forth, and it came down to 8, and then I got sentenced to 7. Out of 7, I did 6. However, out of 5 years, you do 4 years and 2 months. On my 4th year and 2-month day, to the day,
Mm-hmm.
I was in a prison called Southport. Me and a young guy I met up there, his name is Craig. He's actually one of my best friends now. He's a prison advocate as well. And I was talking to him in the yard. I'm like, yo, I'm pissed off because today is the day I'm supposed to go home. If I would have took the 5 years.
Right.
So he said, okay, that's cool. But what would you have done if you be going home today?
Right.
I said, shit, I'm be doing what I do. I'm hit the block. And mind you, he's younger than me, a lot younger than me. But the boy is
It
sharp.
made you think about it. Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
he said, but not without judgment. He said, all right, I hear you, that's your thing. I get home, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They got me. I'm hostage, because his case was totally different. So really from that moment, I left him and I spent the yard a little bit and I thought about, I said, damn, what will I do when I get home?
Right.
Like, I'm 30-something years old, I'm going home, so I'm gonna hit the block. I'm like, nah, that's foolish.
Right.
So from that moment is where, that was my turning point, literally. That moment, I already was teaching myself screenwriting. I always had that in me, screenwriting and movies and films and things of that nature.
Right.
So I really just dove into it. I went started going to the library, getting books, how-tos and books for dummies, and I started doing financial literacy. I started joining all the programs they had. And from that moment, literally maybe about 2 years, a year and 18 months, no, a year and 10 months. So yeah, 22 months, whatever the count is. My math is off. But
Right.
whatever
For the
that time
remainder of your bid, you started.
I did, I focused up. And that was my transition. And
Okay.
from that point on, that's where the maturity came from. And it's funny you say it's so chaotic in there, and it is. However, you normalize the chaos. And some people do their bids differently. My bid was did basically maturing, learning. I started doing I had read a book from Russell Simmons, and he was doing meditation. So I started meditating.
Okay.
I got into dance, to actually theater.
Okay.
I'm 210 grizzly bear. I'm in there with first step and doing pirouettes and all that stuff.
That's nice though. That's nice.
Right.
That's nice to
So
hear. Right.
I did everything in my power to change me internally and mentally.
No, I mean that's great because, like I said, outside looking in, but I have spoken to many people that have, those that maybe weren't into education. They went in there, got their GED. Like there is some great success stories of some people that I've spoken to, and we already know how this court system is. People get trapped up that don't even have that kind, like a violent background and stuff like that. But that's a whole another story and whole nother show. But in your situation, I'm glad that someone did come to you and made you really think, like, how am I going to do this thing, and what am I going to do differently when I get outside? So that reflection on yourself was definitely a great experience that you went through. Because then what happened? You came out, you wrote a book. You got the Be Unstoppable Media company right now. You work, and like you said, you were still a little ego driven when you got out. But look how you thought about that, and you changed that around and turned that into a series where you're highlighting other people that,
right.
Flipped that situation and made it from a negative to a positive. So at least you're looking at the signs around you and recognizing and thinking about how you can make a difference and how you can give back. Sharing the knowledge and information to prevent somebody else from going through situations or to help somebody while they are going through situations is a great thing to do. And, to share that with the world. So I commend you for that as well. So like I mentioned before, we met on set. So I've seen you acting and growing and doing different things. So a lot has changed for you since you came home,
Yes, definitely. And even down to the book. The book was actually an idea for me and two other individuals to put our thoughts and memories and memoirs and all that together and make it and compile all of that for one book. But I said the guy Craig and then one of my other friends, my other compadres, if you will, I told them the idea and they both was like, no, I don't want people to know me in that fashion. Like, I'm not giving my story out. That's your thing, you do it. So it just kept pressing me. I'm like, damn, I don't really want to do it by myself. But it was just something like, it was just like that little, that little voice that said, keep going, go do it. So after I looked over my paperwork and all the thoughts and everything that I had, I said, you know what, it is enough for a book. And not only just to write a book, but let it motivate and inspire somebody else. And not until I actually wrote the book, we published it, and I actually did a interview for Prison of Prosperity. I interviewed a gentleman named William Evans, who is a community activist himself. And he had did time, but he didn't go to prison. He was locked up on Rikers for a little more than a year for a gun charge that he beat. And the illegal things that they did to him to get him arrested, and while he was locked up, they had this bail at like $50,000. So as I'm talking to him and he's telling me his story, we start connecting, and he actually planted the seed, like, you have a story yourself and you should be using your story in the book to help for prison reentry and prison advocacy, which I never really thought about it. I just thought about talking to the youth, hey, little dude, don't do it, don't go that way, don't go that route. But he planted the seed that, like, nah, you could do so much more. You already have the book, it's tangible. And from the book, you could use that as a talking point, as a reference.
Right.
And that's, and after that interview, which was maybe about 6 months ago, is when I really started going hard with the prison reentry and the prison reform. And what really, because the Prison of Prosperity documentary, the docuseries, it was more on a lighter scale than what it is now. So we actually are redoing it. So we had about 6 episodes done, but it wasn't to the extent that it is now. Now it's literally something that you watch and you'll see, like, oh wow, this is supposed to be on A&E.
Oh wow, okay.
So
you took it to another level.
Definitely.
But that's good. I mean, it's good to see that it grew, and that the fact that you felt the need to add more content to it to make it more oomph, you know what I'm saying, for people to really get it. So let's talk about some of the things that you do as far as prison reentry, prison reform. Like, let's be a little bit more specific for those who don't know. Like, how are you fighting against that? Like, what are some of the things that you're doing?
Well, right now, for the prison reentry, what I'm doing now, because as I said, it's like 6 months ago. So once I really got into it, it was like March, and it's like right at I remember the date, March 16th, because March 16th was the last day I worked at the company I was working for. And that day I actually had a seminar for some kids, and everything was closed.
Oh wow.
But so from that point on, what I'm doing now is basically what I'm doing now, doing interviews, Zooms, and just giving people information, statistics, things of that nature. And we all know the problem, if you will, like, okay, prison reentry is horrible, right? You got to deal with your PO. Your PO, it's not by, it's not separate. They group us together. It's not individually based. Everybody has a PO. Everybody has a PO, has a curfew. Everybody got to take a piss test. Even you don't do drugs, right? You have to prove to them you don't do drugs.
Right.
So now what I like to do is not just talk about the problem, the issue. I give possible solutions. So, and now I'm studying a lot of other states, their reentry actions.
So this is reentry into society, pretty much, is what it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because usually, what from my experience, once we come home, I came home. They say go see your PO within 24 hours. Within 24 hours, you see your PO. Your PO tell you, he give you stipulations. Be home by 8. No police contact. Don't leave the state. There's 1 or 2 other things.
You have to find employment, right?
Yes, find employment or school, right?
Okay.
Or education. So now, okay, they just recently started giving individuals birth certificates, social security cards when they leave prison. Before, it
Mhm.
wasn't. You just, the way you came in, if you ain't do the paperwork and do all that yourself, you came out the same way you went in. If you
Wow.
wasn't smart enough or you had somebody to school you. So the reentry part of the bid is actually, I would say, the toughest, because when you're in prison, everything is pretty much handed to you. They
Right. You
they
have your
ring
shelter, your food,
right.
you know,
They ring the
right.
bell. They tell you when to go, when to come. You know, so you pretty much a walking zombie. Now, when you come home, they tell you you have freedom. However, within this freedom, it's these parameters you have to work in. So you're giving somebody an apple pie and telling them they can't eat it.
Right. Right. Just eat this little piece of crust right here. We're just
Right.
gonna keep it running for a little bit, y'all. Just eat this little bit of crust. Don't worry about them apples and that cinnamon that you see in the rest of that pie. You stop right here. Yeah, that it's
Right.
tough. And especially for somebody who's done, like you said, you mentioned the part of just the actual phone was different. So imagine somebody doing 15, 20 years. Society, everything that they know is
It's
gone.
totally changed.
Right.
They
It's
have
totally changed.
they have these phases, phase one, phase two, phase one to phase four. And these phases, they they're supposed to get you ready, acclimate you for the world.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing I can remember is phase one and phase four, because the first thing that you do when you come in is they give you the rules and regulations of the prison system. And they say, don't worry about the rest of it until you get there.
Oh, okay. Get this down
So,
pat first, right?
right.
Right.
Now,
Focus on this.
phase four, they it's supposed to be for reintegration into the world. And it's really basically now they tell you who you're gonna live with. They prep you for your board if you're going to the board. If you're
Okay.
not going to the board, you have a flatbed. They pretty much everybody's in the same class. So even if you have a flatbed, you taking this phase four, and your needs may be different than the guy that's sitting next to you.
Right.
However, it doesn't matter because this is what it is. So when you come home, you really at a loss. So what I like to do, like I said, I look into other states that's doing prison reentry that's working well. Like for us, for New York State, our parole officers really don't have the authority to to give us job information or job readiness.
Oh
It's
wow.
it's third parties that come into the parole or
Right.
the parole offices and hand out flyers and things of that nature. And
So they just
another
pass on the information as it comes to them. It's not like they
right,
have their own resource that they go to. It's however it comes. Oh, I heard about this. You could go here and try to find a job.
right. And 9 times out of 10, parole officers, their thing is, I'm not gonna bash them and say, oh, they want to lock you up, because they really don't. I'm not gonna sit here and say they want to lock you up, because I spoke to some and they said we don't. That's the last thing they want to do, because it's paperwork. No matter what job you in, you don't want to do
Nobody
paperwork,
want to do paperwork, right?
right?
Right. You know what? Right.
So what they relay is though is that their hands is pretty much tied, because from the higher ups, if they say, okay, they got dirty urine, lock them up. Okay, but what about a program? No, 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 no. That's not what we do here. We lock them up. You lock them
Wow.
up. They believe in punishment. I forgot the phrase, but it's punishment to make them do right.
Instead of
Versus
looking at the source of the problem and trying to fix that, right? That
exactly.
is, yeah, yeah.
So I was looking into a couple of states. In Virginia, they have the lowest rate of recidivism when it comes to parole. But what they have is they give parole authority to not actually lock the person up. Where in New York, it's the the parole officer can say he can recommend remand, but the supervisor will say yes or no. In Virginia, the parole officer actually has the authority to be like, no, we're not gonna lock him up. we're gonna send him to rehab. We're gonna send him to whatever program that he needs or she needs. And this alone gives the parole and the parolee, the parole officer and the parolee, a form of understanding with each other. It's not,
Right.
I'm coming in, this guy is working against me, or this chick is working against me. They work collectively to get the parolee in a better place in society. And that's what I'm trying to really push and let people know, that with assistance comes greatness.
Right. Right.
If you don't have assistance, how can they become great? I love that one when it's an old saying from one of the 60s. They said I think it was Martin Luther King. He said they told us to get up by our bootstraps or whatever. Like, how can we pick ourselves up by the bootstraps? We don't got boots.
Right. Right. I mean,
We don't have the tools.
it's so chaotic. It is right. You don't have the tools, because if you go to jail because maybe you robbed or stole something or had a violent situation due to an addiction or whatever, for example,
Right.
if you go in there and that's not addressed, you're gonna come back out again and do what you know. You're gonna go back to your same friends, same situation, and you might end up in the same, because you haven't mentally prepared yourself to overcome that, to stay out of that and move forward. So then again, the underlying issue has always been the drugs. That's never been addressed. So you constantly going back and forth, back and forth. So you're right. The system in New York is not designed right. We all know that. We all know it's a multi-billion-dollar business to keep locking us up. And, that's why they probably don't have that choice for parole officers in New York to be able to put somebody in a program versus sending them to jail. They want to keep us going through like a revolving door in there. So we understand that part. So that's what I feel is the important part of what you're doing. A lot of people are going through a lot of crisis and a lot of things in their life that they don't know how to deal with. They go outside, they get misinformed, and they get misled by looking at this grandiose lifestyle of the streets or whatever have you, or feeling like they're not going to get caught or whatever, and they get caught up. So you need somebody who's been through it that can share that to maybe help them. But then again, it's like, we need programs to give them other options. We need, a lot of things are being cut with COVID. You can't find jobs, whether it's retail. So much is happening during this pandemic that is making people have to do certain things to do what they have to do. And it's just a real bad situation that we're living in. So I really wish you a lot of success with the program. I hope you can do a lot of Zoom meetings or whatever to try to expand the awareness, because it's hard. It's hard. You don't really have like schools and stuff you can go into now because schools are closed. You can't really, unless you do your own like docuseries and put it on television or create a web series. That's the only way you're really going to get the message out today. So before we end the segment, I enjoyed this conversation because it's really important, and it's something that we are dealing with, throughout generations. This is something that's been going on forever. So where can they go buy your book? Let's talk about that. Where's your book? Where can they go buy it?
Oh, definitely. The book is definitely on Amazon. David Ralik Hopper, David Ralik, Ralik Hopper. Moments, writing, thoughts, and letters of a two-time felon. It's also on a website called The Book Patch, thebookpatch.com and Amazon. And also, if you're within the 5 boroughs of New York City, DM me, inbox me, whatever, contact me anyway, and I'll bring you a signed copy, no problem. I love talking to the people, meeting the people.
I also want to talk about the Be Unstoppable Media. Is that where you're producing your docuseries from?
Yes, we have that. The Be Unstoppable Media, we are doing the docuseries, as well as we're using that as a platform for the youth and young adults. We're doing the program, A Pathway to Greater Heights. And with that, we have we teaching them the media, the DSLR camera, basic lighting, and photography. That's one part. It's 3 components. That's one part. Then we have another part which is life skills and financial education, and
Awesome.
then we have another part which is CDL training. We
Oh,
do the
okay.
CDL. We don't do the driving part, but we're taking them as far as getting them to the general knowledge, past the general knowledge test. So we get them a start in that.
Options, opportunities and options. That's awesome. That's what we need. But you're telling people to reach out to you. Where can they go? Give them your social media.
Yeah, absolutely. Facebook, David Hopper, Hopper. Instagram is I am David _unstoppable, and Twitter is DHOP 522. Those are my 3 go-tos. Instagram is my main stream, if you will. I love Instagram. Instagram's like, so for me, that's my thing. But Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, either one of them will lead you to the other one. And then, of course, we have the Unstoppable Media production page. So any one of those.
Check them out, yeah. Check them out, support, because you can learn about media, you can learn CDL. That's a great opportunity right there. And financial knowledge and wisdom, how you can make, invest, grow, and take care of your families. Those are 3 very important elements. But before we go, like I first mentioned in the beginning, I met you acting. So run down a little bit of some of the things that you're in where they can check it out, because that was a whole nother lane that opened up for you. And you're a very good actor, I must say. So yeah, tell them about that.
Yeah, damn, that's so crazy, because the acting thing is more a thing out of this passion. Like, it's just like, I like doing it. More or less, I started it because somebody needed a stand-in, and then I said, okay. They basically say they made me do it. I said, yeah, all right, cool. Because I'm a behind the camera guy. And it just took off. So I was just saying, like, I have to make a resume for my acting.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I'm in about 6 music videos. I'm in 2 Head Ice videos. I'm in the young
shout out
ladies.
to Head Ice too. He's doing it real
Harlem,
big, always.
I'm in the young ladies video named Jesus Christ. It escapes me. That's why I said I gotta get a resume, because once I do them, it's like, okay, cool,
Right.
Movie wise though, I'm definitely in Pressed, the battle rap movie. Shout out to Street Line and Showtime TV for plugging me into that. That's on YouTube. That got a lot of views. That's rocking right now.
Yeah, shout out to Street Line and Showtime. You're right. They doing it real big too.
They actually in the process of doing a part 2 of that. I'm hoping I get a call to get in that. I'm in oh wow, I forgot about that. I'm in a horror film called Apartment 3H.
Yes.
It's horrible. I have to get a resume. I have to get a com card with all this information. Apartment 3H, horror movie. That's on
Escobar Entertainment. Is that Escobar?
Yes, it is. Escobar Entertainment. That is on, I want to say Amazon, but it's one of the other apps as well. Don't quote me, but Apartment 3H, Google it, it'll pop up. I'm on that. David
and what's
Hopper.
the other one we did together? The scare. Well, we didn't do it together. We was in it. The scary one with the disease, like
Oh, and that,
well, you was
that is Nobody Knew.
Nobody knew, right? Right. Nobody knew.
That's Escobar Entertainment as well. That is actually, last time I spoke to them, they said they were shopping it. It's supposed to actually be on Amazon or I think Roku soon, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So those are the things I'm definitely working. The acting thing, I love doing it though. It's fun to me. It's fun to me. So I think that's one of the reasons. And I really heard good reviews. Nobody really said, and one thing about my circle, I don't have yes men, so they'll tell me like that was garbage. And everybody's telling me, it's pretty. I'm a pretty good actor. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
yeah. I
God
thought you
willing.
was acting for a long time when I met you. I forgot the one we did when we was like the bandits and we had the black mask on, remember?
Oh, yes.
What was the name of that one? I can't even remember the name of that one.
I can't remember the name of that. He turned that to like an action sequence.
Right,
I don't know
right.
what he did with that.
I was one of the bad girls with the mask on, but you couldn't tell it was me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was dope. So, yeah, we just having fun with it. So again, I want to thank you for joining me today, sharing what you're doing and with how you give it back to the community and what you're doing to help the youth. And I hope that you keep me abreast of what's going on, some of the programs. Send me some links to the stuff that you're doing. And everybody support David Hopper. You have the information where you can find him. If you want to take advantage of any of the opportunities that he mentioned, please don't hesitate to reach out. And on Just Give Me the Mic, you know we always highlighting positive people that are doing positive things. So support. And I hope this information that was shared today is helpful to you or to someone you know. And that's what we're trying to do, y'all. We're trying to uplift each other and keep each other, you know, tight and united. That's all we're doing here. So any last words you want to say?
Thank you for having me, first and foremost. For anybody that's listening and watching, we as in Be Unstoppable Media and life, which is love, intellect, family, and affection. If you have any links or you want us to speak or anything like that, you need any information, we're always open. So, you know, contact us. We this is our drive. This is what we're here for, to help, save, help, and assist.
Nice.
So this is what we're here for. So if anybody want us to speak at an event, a Zoom, whatever it is, it's prison reentry, just need somebody to talk to the youth. Because usually what I do is read an excerpt of the book, one of the rawest excerpts of the book, and then speak on it from that angle. So, you know, we're here for the most part. I thank you for having us.
Thank you. Well, there you have it, y'all. Make sure you catch Just Give Me the Mic every Sunday night at 9 p.m. on Channel 68 in the Bronx, MNN2 in Manhattan at 8 p.m. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Just Give Me the Mic. Subscribe, share the links. We have some great guests on there. And 2021 is almost here. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh, my phone done fell. But we almost on 2021, y'all. And we're going to keep doing what we do. Keep sharing information and check out the movies and stuff that he's mentioned. And again, there's so much you can do out here. Never limit yourself, never keep yourself in the box. Keep growing, keep elevating, and keep doing you, y'all. Until next time, good night.
Peace.